Field trips.
My school didn't have field trips that we would go to, but there were events that we would have. A big event was homecoming, which is the first major sports game of the year. So people would celebrate that a lot and go and see that game, usually football.
The only school field trip I really remember is going to a farm when I was in second grade. Many of the other school field trips got canceled because of the budget, and the school kind of declined after my sister graduated. So because of that, we just went to this farm, but it was a lot of fun, and we got to pet a lot of animals, which I liked.
A school field trip. Well, I think once I went to a museum in Indonesia. I didn't really understand any about it because it was my first time, and we actually went to like a park, which is pretty cool because I get to hang out with my friends, and yeah, I had a lot of fun.
My very first school field trip, I remember, was to a park in India. That was when I was in primary school, and this was when I was back in India. I remember we went by bus for about 2.5 hours, and then we ended up in a beautiful park, which was also a graveyard.
I don't remember taking a school field trip in high school. I do remember taking a school field trip in junior high. We went to the Statue of Liberty and climbed all the way to the top.
My favorite school trip was one where we actually, when I was living in Colorado, we went to a Nobel Prize winner's laboratory, and he demonstrated the experiment that got him the Nobel Prize, which was he recreated the coldest place in the universe, which was a sort of 3 centimeter by 3 centimeter tube, which is the coldest known place in the universe. I was in the same room as this, and it was really fantastic to be there, to know that I was part of the history of science as well.
My favourite school trip, I guess, I didn't really go on that many, would have to be when I went to Alton Towers. When I went to a large theme park with my school, because it was like a celebration of the end of being at that school, and it was a lot of fun, especially getting to go on all the rides, and just a really great day out with friends.
First impression.
My first impression of my best friend was positive. I mean, she was really nice to me, and she helped me a lot with my studies and also, adapting in the university. So she was really nice, and until now we're still best friends.
I actually don't have a first impression of my best friend because I grew up with him and I knew him as long as I can remember. So I actually don't have an impression of him.
Well, I guess the first impression, though it sounds quite odd, is the fact that she had lots and lots of freckles and I didn't, and also she had quite short hair and my hair was very long at the time.
My first impression of my best friend was I don't like her. I am pretty judgmental when I see people for the first time, and when I saw her, I just instantly didn't like her, and it was the same for her. But once we got talking, I realized she is going to be my best friend. And that was 5 years ago, and we're still the best friends.
First impression of my best friend was that he was a little bit crazy. He's from Iran, and his name is Fairos. He's very lazy, but I like him because he's easygoing.
The first impression of my best friend was that she was really outgoing and very original. So I was really attracted to her from the beginning. I thought, wow, she's got quite cool style and someone that I admire.
High school memories.
My high school in Germany was really small. Only about 1,000 people. And it was a very close-knit community. In a German high school, there are students from 10 years old to 20 years old. So it's a really nice family atmosphere.
My high school, it's a international school. Students are from, well, majority of students are from Asia, right? But we do have students from Europe and the Americas. And I like the multicultural environment. It was very nice.
My high school was a grammar school, which meant that we had to take an exam to get into it. It was also an all-boys school, and it was quite a prestigious school within the area due to the entrance exam. So the academic level of the school was quite high, and also with it being an all-boys school, there was a very strong focus on sports.
I went to a public high school, which is paid by local taxes. So since I had kind of a wealthier town, we had a nice high school. There were a lot of art programs and technology programs and a lot of good teachers. Not too many students there, only about 180 students in my class.
Well, my high school was from grade 8 to 12, so that would be about 13 to 17. And it was a fairly large school, mostly because there were so many grades, but each grade had a fair amount of students as well. They weren't that well known for sports or the arts. They were more of an academic school. But we did have a pretty good track and field, and we had some nice basketball courts as well. And my favorite thing to do there was to play in the basketball courts.
Okay, my high school, for me, kind of has two parts, because to begin with, when I entered my high school, it was completely different to when I left, because while I was there, they actually rebuilt it. So while at first it looked kind of interesting, there were lots of different buildings, different shapes, different sizes. By the time I left, everything was kind of uniform and box-shaped, and it looked terrible.
Movie annoyance.
The typical thing that annoys people, annoys me in the theatre, is the rustling and crunching of different food types. Also the kicking, whether it's intended or not, the kicking of the back of your seat, and also in some cultures, sniffing and coughing is accepted, whereas in others it isn't, and in my culture it isn't, and therefore I find this habit rather irritating.
One of the things that annoys me the most is when I can hear people chewing. So if people are eating their food and making a lot of noise when they chew, it really bothers me. And that also happens outside of the theater. If someone is having dinner with me and chewing out loud, it really bothers me. But it's hard to get them to stop because they usually don't know that they're doing it.
The most annoying thing I find in the movie theatre would be when someone has a new bag of popcorn or a new bag of sweets and they'd open it up halfway through the film and be rustling behind you. You can always hear that more than the film.
Well, sometimes teenagers can be a little obnoxious in the theaters. I've been hit by a few popcorn kernels or two in the past, and that can be quite annoying. I think they're just having fun pulling pranks on people, but it's difficult when you're trying to watch a movie.
Oh, the most annoying thing is when they actually bring their babies or their children. I don't understand why they're bringing them to, especially to a late night movie. And then the baby starts to cry or it gets restless. I don't feel bad for the baby. I feel really bad for the people, and I feel mad at the people. I mean, why are they bringing their baby to this movie?
Me especially, it's talking, or like if they won't be quiet and you're trying to watch the movie, that really annoys me. Although the one that really annoys my mum especially is when they kick the back of your seat. She always seems to get that one kid who makes a fuss.